The very first time I saw you, Harry, I recognized you immediately. Not by your scar, by your eyes.
Number 20. You just don't want to fight Batman. The Dark Knight Rises. Christopher Nolan sure knows how to direct an action movie, but he somehow missed this glaring error. Batman and Catwoman team up to fight some of Bane's goons on a rooftop. During the skirmish, a henchman approaches Batman on the left side of the screen. He then stops in his tracks and falls down without being hit. We're not sure what happened here, but it's likely that someone missed their cue. Luckily, the goof is very easy to miss, as the camera is focused on Catwoman taking down a henchman with a cool wraparound kick. It's a pretty interesting distraction once you know it's there though. Number 19. Starbucks. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Director Quentin Tarantino did meticulous work and spent millions of dollars transforming modern Los Angeles into the stylish LA of 1969. But he missed one crucial detail, which is hidden in the fuzzy background of a shot. While out about town, Sharon Tate decides to watch her own movie at the Fox Bruin Theater. This scene was filmed on location, and the theater is now across from a Starbucks.
One, please.
75 cents.
What if I'm in the movie?
What do you mean?
The sign for the Starbucks can be seen while Sharon talks to the box office attendant, despite the famous coffee chain not existing until 1971. Even worse, Starbucks didn't reach LA for another couple of decades. Number 18. Some very un-Roman technology. Gladiator. Ridley Scott's historical epic takes place in the year 180, with Emperor Marcus Aurelius hoping to restore the long-dormant Roman Republic. Much of the action takes place in the famous Colosseum, with Maximus being forced to fight as a gladiator.
Whatever comes out of these gates, we've got a better chance of survival if we work together. Do you understand? If we stay together, we survive.
In one fight, Maximus and his fellow gladiators are tasked with defeating a series of horse-drawn carriages. One of these carriages flips over during the battle, spilling its riders into the dirt. The crash also reveals a very modern hydraulic gas contraption hidden within the chariot. Ancient Romans had their own hydraulic systems, but they were certainly not this sophisticated. Number 17. The what now? The Goonies. The end of this classic sees the titular Goonies speaking to the press about their adventures. During the talk, Data tells a disbelieving reporter about a scary octopus that the group encountered.
What happened out there? Were your lives in danger?
The octopus was very scary. Yeah, it was very dangerous.
The scariest thing was walking the planet.
Viewers may have also been left in a state of disbelief, as this was never shown in the movie. The octopus sequence was filmed and can be seen in some TV versions of the film, but it was cut from the theatrical release.
What?
Luckily, this editing mistake still works within the logic of the movie, as Data could simply be lying for the sake of publicity. You know, as just a kid getting wrapped up in the excitement of it all. Number 16. Those aren't ruby slippers. The Wizard of Oz. The problem with emphasizing an article of clothing is that viewers will be on the lookout for it. Much is made about Dorothy's ruby slippers, and they have become an iconic piece of pop culture.
What have you done with them? Give them back to me, or I'll... It's too late. There they are, and there they'll stay. Give me back my slippers. I'm the only one that knows how to use them.
Which is why their sudden absence is all the more distracting. One scene has Dorothy and Scarecrow coming across a group of sentient apple trees, which proceed to pelt the heroes with their fruit. One apple hits Scarecrow, causing Dorothy to start running away. Her feet are very briefly shown as she stumbles, and this is where she is seen wearing black patent leather shoes instead of the classic ruby slippers. When we see her again, the ruby slippers are back. Number 15. Can't choose a breakfast. Pretty Woman. The titular Pretty Woman is Vivian Ward, a sex worker who strikes up a relationship with wealthy client Edward Lewis.
$100 a night.
For an hour.
An hour? You make $100 an hour and you got a safety pin holding your boot up? You gotta be joking.
I never joke about money.
Neither do I.
One scene sees Vivian and Edward having breakfast and discussing what Edward does for a living. Throughout much of the sequence, Vivian is picking off pieces of a croissant and eating them.
So what do you do?
I buy companies.
What kind of companies?
I buy companies that are in financial difficulty.
But right after Edward talks about his schooling, the camera switches back to Vivian and she is now holding a pancake. But wait, that's not all. There are 2 mistakes for the price of 1. After the sloppy pancake reveal, Vivian clearly takes a second bite out of it. Yet when the camera switches back to her again, the second bite is magically gone. Number 14. Marty's Gibson, Back to the Future. While an undeniable classic of the time travel genre, Back to the Future is filled with anachronisms. One of them involves the climactic dance sequence, in which Marty entertains the school with some Chuck Berry.
Way down in Louisiana, down in New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the evergreens.
Marty is playing a Gibson ES 345, which wasn't publicly released until 1959. The past sequences of Back to the Future take place in 1955, a good 4 years before the ES 345 was introduced. In reality, Marty would likely be playing the Gibson Les Paul, a very popular electric guitar that was introduced in 1952. However, this was likely a creative decision, as Chuck Berry also played the Gibson ES 345.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
Number 13. Peter's self-fixing lamp, Spider-Man. It's not just web-slinging powers and a chiseled bod that Peter Parker acquired from the Spider.
Weird.
He also apparently got a magic lamp that fixes itself. An excited Peter tests out his new web shooting powers in his room and hits a green lamp. He pulls the lamp towards himself and is forced to duck out of the way as it sails past him and shatters against the wall. This attracts the attention of Aunt May, and Peter quickly shoos her away.
Peter? What's going on in there?
I'm exercising.
When he closes the door to examine his web-covered room, the green lamp has somehow been restored to its place on the shelf. Number 12. The infamous doll baby, American Sniper. We've seen some bad movie babies in our time, but arguably none as bad as American Sniper. In one scene, Chris and Taya Kyle have a heart-to-heart about Chris's lack of family commitment.
I'm making memories by myself. I have no one to share them with.
Well, we got our whole lives for that.
When does that start?
Chris and Taya take turns holding the baby, but no matter whose hands it's in, the baby looks hilariously fake. It's clearly just a cheap plastic doll that the prop department probably found at the local Walmart.
It's true.
Screenwriter Jason Hall explained that they had planned on shooting with real babies, but one didn't show up to set and the other was sick. Desperate, director Clint Eastwood ordered that the scene go ahead with the prop doll. Number 11. No sweeping here, Quantum of Solace. Working as a background extra usually means blending into the scene and not drawing any attention to yourself.
Hello, Mitchell.
Bond?
But even performing simple tasks can steal focus depending on how they're done. An extra on Quantum of Solace nearly stole Bond's thunder with one ridiculous act.
You don't have to worry about me. I'm not going to go chasing him. He's not important.
When Daniel Craig's 007 is sitting on a motorcycle contemplating his next move, a worker is supposed to be sweeping the ground nearby. However, his broom isn't remotely close to touching the pavement. This hilariously bad sweeping job was unfortunately one of the best parts of the disappointing Quantum of Solace.
Can I offer an opinion?
I really think you people should find a better place to meet.
Number 10. The crushing Candyman moment. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Before we follow Charlie Bucket's trip into a wondrous chocolate factory, this classic movie introduces us to the Candyman.
A triple cream custard for Christopher, a crunchy snorter for Otis, a sizzler for June Marie, and listen, Wonka's got a new one today.
What is it?
This is called a scumdiddlyumptious bar.
This sweet shop owner shows a lot of passion for his wide selection of goods. Unfortunately, the Candyman was too focused on his big number to worry about one unlucky shopper.
Who can take tomorrow, dip it in a dream, separate the sorrow and collect up all the cream, the Candyman.
Right after he starts singing about tomorrow, keep an eye out on the countertop as he lifts it up. The ledge bops one of the waiting children in the chin just before they all head past him. Props to the extra who took the knock and just kept on going. Hopefully, she got a bonus chocolate bar for not drawing attention to the Candyman's mistake.
Who can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, cover it in chocolate and a miracle or two? The Candyman. The Candyman can.
Number 9. Pirates and Cowboys? Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Pirate movies ruled the box office and open seas when Captain Jack Sparrow first took to the screen in 2003.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
While the movie openly leaned into fantastical, magical elements, we weren't expecting to see them play with time, too. During the movie's triumphant final scene, Jack Sparrow gets emotional about the Black Pearl before ordering his crew around.
On deck, you scabrous dogs!
He apparently employed both pirates and at least one cowboy. If you look behind Sparrow's head to the left, you'll spot a man wearing a t-shirt and straw hat. Although it's hard to catch upon a first viewing, you'll never unsee it once you know. Either a crew member stumbled on set, or Pirate Captain Jack Sparrow's hiring practices were really ahead of the times.
Drink up, me hearties, yo-ho.
Number 8. Quick change at the starting line. The Fast and the Furious. Long before the franchise was concerned with fighting atop cars or going to outer space, the Fast and Furious movies actually had a lot of racing.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
One of the most memorable competitive scenes saw the young Jesse race against the hardcore Tran. Before they started the race, we caught a big continuity mistake. As the competitors start revving up their engines, the camera cuts to Tran in a black button-up shirt. After a quick shot of the ref, he's suddenly wearing a black tank top with no explanation. We somehow doubt Tran did a quick change just to prepare for the race. Honestly, the fantastic narc scene that follows probably distracted people from noticing this wardrobe malfunction.
I never knocked on nobody! I never knocked on nobody!
Number 7. Early bullet holes. Pulp Fiction. During an iconic scene in an apartment, Hitman Jules confronts Brett about backstabbing his boss. To say their conversation doesn't go well would be a bit of an understatement.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brother.
In fact, audiences can see bullet holes from the shootout behind Jules and his ally Vincent during the scene. But there's one tiny problem. These holes can be seen before the gunman who makes them enters the movie's narrative. It's hard to tell whether the cameraman missed this detail, the scenic department got a little too eager, or the editor accidentally used this angle. But regardless of the explanation, we agree with Jules that something extraordinary was going on with those bullet holes.
This was divine intervention. You know what divine intervention is?
Number 6. A boy sees a surprise coming. North by Northwest.
Just a second, you.
Stay away from me. Let go.
Released in 1959, Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest is a great spy thriller that still holds up today. One of its best suspenseful scenes takes place in a cafeteria scene. During the sequence, Eve pulls out a gun and surprisingly shoots Cary Grant's Roger Thornhill.
Save the phony tears.
Just get back.
You little fool.
You just stay away from me.
But there's one character that definitely knew this violent moment was coming. There's a young boy in a blue shirt sitting in the background to Eve's right. Before she pulls the trigger, he plugs up his ears in anticipation of the gunshot. The only in-universe explanation for this moment is that the young boy is a clairvoyant. He should really talk to the phony psychic in Hitchcock's family plot.
I can't.
You must.
Number 5. Two Ant-Men. Avengers Endgame. With a cast, budget, and scope as epic as this, mistakes are bound to happen. One of the most noticeable and hilarious involves Ant-Man. During the intricate climactic sequence, Ant-Man and the Wasp are attempting to hotwire a van while the battle rages around them.
It's dead.
What?
It's dead. I have to hotwire it.
The gauntlet is given to Black Panther, who proceeds to run through the chaotic battlefield. During this run, eagle-eyed viewers can spot a massive Ant-Man in the background sending a Leviathan through a portal. Unless quantum magic can put Scott in two places at once, this isn't happening. It still makes for a really cool visual though. Number 4. A car rolls into Middle-earth. The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. While the Lord of the Rings trilogy is widely considered as a nearly flawless trio of fantasy films set in a world without modern technology, a few mistakes did slip through the cracks.
Confounded old Samwise Gamgee! Have you been eavesdropping?
I ain't been dropping no eaves, sir, honest.
One of the most infamous slip-ups that eagle-eyed fans have pointed out involves a car.
If I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been.
A modern vehicle was originally seen in the distance as Sam and Frodo talk about being far from home. Since director Peter Jackson caught the flub, he set about erasing it with VFX. But it's still possible to see the smoke the car produced in certain cuts of the movie. We bet Sam and Frodo would have loved to jump into a vehicle so they could return the ring a little faster.
It's gone. It's done.
Number 3. A painful kick. The Last Samurai. Imagine that you got dressed up in epic samurai gear for a big and exciting battle shot.
You ride against us, and you are the same as they are.
I'll look for you on the field.
Shortly after the director calls action, the main hero rides in to dismount his battle-ready horse. Just as he dismounts, a horse hits you with a strong kick below the belt. The poor actor withstands the brutal hit like nothing happened. Not only does he stay upright, but he gets back in formation instantly.
Mr. Graham.
We know that Tom Cruise and Ken Watanabe were supposed to be the big main heroes of this movie, but it's extras like the guy who endured this horse kick who are the true champions.
I belong to the warrior in whom the old ways have joined the new.
Number 2. Wrong eye color. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Throughout the Harry Potter films, multiple people tell the boy who lived that his eyes are identical to his mother Lily's.
You know, the very first time I saw you, Harry, I recognized you immediately. Not by your scar, by your eyes. They're your mother Lily's.
Although the books said they both had green eyes, the young Daniel Radcliffe had trouble with the contacts that would have changed his natural blue irises. Fans let this change slide until the very last film. When we see a flashback to a young Lily, she inexplicably has brown eyes. In most stories, this wouldn't be an issue to the plot, but franchise mainstay Severus Snape explicitly compares Harry's eyes to his mother's in a pivotal scene.
Look at me. You have your mother's eyes.
Did the young Lily have the same eye contact problem as Radcliffe did? Or was this an honest slip-up? Either way, die-hard fans will never let this eye color fiasco go.
After all this time. Always.
Number 1. A stormtrooper hits the wrong target. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Although most stormtroopers rock a similar white ensemble, a few of them have stood out as unique throughout the franchise.
Look, sir, droids.
One of the funniest members of this group of soldiers appeared in A New Hope, when a group of stormtroopers enter the chamber previously occupied by our rebel heroes. One of them bumps their head against the top of the door.
Take over. See to him.
It instantly makes the intimidating soldiers seem more incompetent than their terrible aim would suggest. Instead of trying to cover up this gaffe, George Lucas later drew attention to it with sound effects.
Take over.
He also had Jango Fett make a similar head bonk in Attack of the Clones. We give a lot of credit to Lucas for having a sense of humor about a stormtrooper mistake. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.